over the water, which is a good thing. We don't want it to get all that organized before it moves ashore. Meanwhile, we've got to talk about severe storms. We've already had a couple of severe warnings here in North Dakota, mainly for large hail as big as ping pong ball size. We had golf ball size hail last night, and even strong winds moving into places like Devil's Lake, Grand Forks, and right on down to the South Dakota state line. And then tomorrow, anywhere from Big Sky Country, Montana, down to New Mexico, it's possible we get strong enough winds where you could lose your power for a time. Heavy rain, lightning, gusty winds as well. And you can see that we've got that rain developing as we go through the afternoon. It's all about the eastern side of South Dakota, moving into Nebraska as well. And then we get redevelopment of storms right over the Rockies. And even before the storms get here, already we've got that strong southerly wind helping to transport the moisture. And unfortunately, gusty winds not good for the fires that are burning across the west either. There's a look at Billings. You've got the heavy rain as we head into early Wednesday morning. We'll be monitoring those storms for sure. Then we go from Tuesday through Wednesday with another developing line here in North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way down to Kansas. We'll be tracking that as it moves and kind of dissipates before it gets to the Twin Cities, and then the Twin Cities themselves getting some of that rain as we head towards Thursday morning, and that cluster of wet weather will move into the western Great Lakes. Not expecting a ton of rain right here in the Corn Belt. Heaviest rain certainly back into Montana where it's possible. We see as much as 3 to 5 inches of rain also into the Tetons. Here is a look at that wind potential. A lot of fuchsia on the map, not just dark blue, which indicates those stronger winds, but North Platte, 30, 35 miles an hour. Any of these winds could certainly knock out the power. So even outside of storm, Steph, we have an overall windy system out. Welcome back to America's Morning Headquarters. Let's check on your flights. If you are traveling on this Monday, there could be some issues, especially where we have the wet weather associated with that entity that may try to become a tropical storm along the Carolina coast. Showers and thunderstorms for Florida, as well as the high plains and northern plains, where some of these storms have been turning severe at times this morning. So as we check on the board here, Wilmington, look for moderate delays. We already have the wind and the rain that has certainly moved in this morning. Miami looking at the possibility of a few delays. Raleigh, it's going to be wet and at times windy for you as well. Charleston, same thing, but Miami, or Denver rather, looking at a pretty good flying day overall. All right, so I was just checking on the conditions through the Carolinas, including the power outages. We do have, let's see, Brunswick County, which is where Wilmington is located. Over 1,000 customers are now without power. So those winds are really beginning to increase at this hour. So look for occasional outages. The airport's obviously being impacted from the Carolinas down into Florida as well. So anywhere you see that medium shade, that orange shade, that's where we could have some weather-related delays today. Then you're being buffeted by the strong winds. If you are driving the 95 corridor, you've got the overwash problems here on Highway 12. We saw a little bit of that over the weekend. And even severe weather cannot be ruled out with this system so close to the coastline. Could spin in a couple of water spouts that move on shore, and we could have an isolated tornado or two. But flooding is going to be the bigger problem with several inches of rain possible. Speaking of several inches of rain, we saw that over the weekend with that moisture left behind by Francine. Anywhere from the Boot Heel of Missouri down to the Gulf Coast, even Terrebonne Parish still dealing with outages this morning. They got a lot of people back online over the weekend. That's the good news, but there are still some issues there. And then, of course, we've got that threat for severe storms across the Four Corners region. And even when it's not storming, it is blowing out here with those winds gusting over 50 miles an hour, Jim. We are monitoring the conditions along the Carolina coastline as we are looking at a potential tropical system trying to get its act together, maybe becoming Helene. But even if it doesn't, we still have the rain, the blustery conditions, and even knocking out power for some areas of the North Carolina coast, including right here in Brunswick County. Over 1,000 customers are without power. So there will be the potential for delays at some of these airports like Raleigh, as well as Charlotte, and even down to Florida. Not tropical related, but you guys have the showers and storms that could pop up and cause some delays or even a ground stop. Here's a look at the wind and the rain. That's severe threat as well. Sometimes you can get water spouts that come on shore, so we can't rule out an isolated tornado along the coastline with this system so close. It's moving in pretty fast, actually, by tonight into tomorrow morning. You can see the impacts as far west as Mecklenburg County, the upstate of South Carolina, where we could see some wet weather, holding our temperatures down, by the way, only in the 60s with the windy, wet conditions. Charlotte is just looking wet this morning, and then again for our evening rush hour commute as well. Jim?